5. Scary True Home Invasion Horror Stories. Story 1. The Forgotten Cabin in the Pines. We never planned on stopping that evening. The hike through Colorado's high-altitude pine forest was meant to be simple, quiet, almost predictable. Just another weekend escape, far from the constant hum of the city. My brother walked a few steps ahead, tugging his jacket tighter. "Man, it's getting colder," he muttered. I checked the trail map again. Daylight was fading faster than we expected. The mountain air carried that sharp, unforgiving bite you only feel in early Colorado winters. And that's when we saw it. A small wooden cabin tucked deep between the trees. Old weather-beaten, like it hadn't been touched in years. One of those classic American backwoods shelters, the kind you read about in survival stories, or the kind locals quietly warn tourists not to go near. There was no smoke curling from the chimney. No footprints in the thin patches of snow around it. No lights. Nothing to suggest anyone had lived there in a long time. It felt abandoned, forgotten by the world, except us. As we stepped closer, something shifted in the woods. The wind stopped instantly, like someone had just shut off the entire forest. The air grew heavier, colder, wrong. We told ourselves it was just an old cabin. Maybe a safe place for hikers to wait out the storm that was rolling in. But the truth is, nothing inside that place was abandoned. Nothing inside had ever been forgotten. And the moment we walked toward it, it already knew we were coming. Scene: to the forgotten cabin in the pines. We reached the cabin's edge. The wooden steps sagged under the weight of time, each one groaning beneath my boots, impossibly loud in the suffocating silence. My brother froze at the doorway. "Do you think we should go in?" I wanted to turn back, to pretend we hadn't seen anything but the cabin. It wasn't just standing there. It was waiting, pulling us forward. The door gave way with a mournful groan. Inside, darkness swallowed the last of the sun. The air was icy, and it carried something else. Faint, metallic, almost like blood. We stepped inside. The cabin seemed empty, yet my gut screamed otherwise. Shadows shifted unnaturally. Silence stretched deliberately, as if the place itself was listening, waiting. Then it happened. Upstairs, a door slammed. Hard, quick, no wind, no explanation. My brother froze, eyes wide. I felt it too. The certainty that we were no longer visitors. We were intruders, and whatever had been waiting had noticed. We wanted to run, but our feet wouldn't move. Something inside the cabin was awakening, and for the first time, we realized we weren't just lost in the forest. We were trapped inside something alive, something that had been waiting for us all along. And then, the darkness moved toward us. Scene 3 ending. We stumbled into the snow-covered clearing, hearts still hammering, lungs burning. Behind us, the cabin stood silent. No movement, no sound, except the wind, whispering through broken branches, but I could feel it. The eyes of that place, watching, waiting. And sometimes, on quiet winter nights, I swear I can hear it breathing, counting, waiting for the next visitor, foolish enough to cross its threshold. The forest swallows the snow, but the cabin never forgets. Story 2, Scene 1, True Home Invasion Nightmare. Title: The Stranger in the Dark. It was just past midnight when she heard it, a soft, deliberate tap at the back door. At first she told herself it was the wind or a neighbor, but then another tap, louder, slower, insistent. She froze on the couch, phone clutched in trembling hands. Every instinct screamed to call the police, but the sound, it wasn't random. Someone was there, watching, waiting. She crept to the kitchen, heart hammering. The shadow beyond the glass didn't move like a person running. It moved deliberate, slow. Her breath caught as the doorknob rattled. Not the wind, not a prank. Someone wanted in. Her phone slipped from her hands. A low, chilling voice whispered through the glass. "I know you're in there. Don't move." Every muscle froze. She couldn't scream. She couldn't move. Only watch as the shadow lingered, testing her fear, circling the house like a predator. When the front door finally opened, she ran into the stormy night, soaked, shaking, never looking back. By the time she reached the streetlights, the shadow was gone, vanished into the night. But she knew he had been inside the yard, maybe even inside the house, and he knew she was alone. She never stayed alone in that house again, and sometimes, late at night, she swears she can hear the faintest tapping, just outside, waiting, watching. Scene 2. The invader closes in. She pressed herself against the wall, phone in hand, heart hammering. The shadow outside hadn't moved. It was just standing there, watching. Every instinct screamed to run, but where? The house felt smaller, tighter, like it was closing in around her. Then came the scraping. Slow, deliberate, against the back door. Not the wind, not branches. Something cold, patient, probing. Her breath caught. She could almost feel the presence behind the glass, peering in, waiting for her to make a mistake. She tried to move toward the front door, careful to stay out of sight, but the floorboard betrayed her. A single creak, and the shadow shifted, moving faster now. It wasn't just outside anymore, it was inside. Somewhere in the darkness, it was moving toward her. Voice shaking. She bolted, fumbling with the locks, the storm slamming rain into her face as she burst into the yard. Heart pounding, lungs burning. She didn't stop running until she reached the streetlights. The shadow had vanished, but the fear lingered. Every window behind her seemed alive, as if the house itself was watching, waiting for her to return. She never stayed in that house alone again, and sometimes late at night, when the storm hits, she swears she hears the tapping. A reminder that the stranger is still out there, watching. Pause. Long, tense silence. Scene 3. Nightmare ends. She reached her friend's house down the street, soaked to the bone, shivering. She locked the door behind her and sank against it, thinking the nightmare was finally over. The shadow, the tapping, gone. Just the storm, finally drowning out the fear. But then she heard it. A faint tap at the window, slow, patient, deliberate. Her stomach dropped. She told herself it was the storm, a branch, anything, but deep down, she knew. Someone had been inside, and they hadn't left completely. She never returned home alone. Every creak in the floor, every gust of wind against the door made her heart stop. And sometimes, late at night, she swears she hears the tapping again, soft, almost a whisper. "I know you're in there." The house still stands, empty, quiet, but she knows. Some nightmares don't leave. They wait, watching, always waiting. Pause. Complete, haunting silence. Story 3. Scene 1. Descent into Terror. Title: The Basement Intruder. It was past midnight when he finally heard it. A faint thud from the basement. At first he told himself it was the house settling. Old pipes, anything. But then came another sound. Softer, deliberate, like someone stepping carefully down the stairs. He froze in the living room, heart hammering. His phone lay on the couch, uselessly bright. Every instinct screamed to run, but where? The basement door was closed, but that didn't matter. He knew someone was already inside. He crept toward the kitchen, trying not to make a sound. A shadow flickered near the stairwell. He held his breath. The intruder moved with purpose. Slow, careful, almost enjoying the hunt. The faint smell of something damp and metallic filled the air. He wanted to call for help, but his fingers froze on the phone. Every instinct told him, hide, don't make a sound. And as he pressed himself against the wall, he realized the basement wasn't just occupied. It was alive with the intruder's presence, and he wasn't going to leave willingly. Scene 2. Face to face. He turned a corner and saw him, the intruder. Tall, shadowed, face hidden in darkness. No words. Only that cold, deliberate gaze that promised pain. He backed into a corner, trapped. Every hallway, every shadow seemed to hide him. Then, a whisper right behind his ear. "You can't hide." The house seemed alive with the intruder's presence. Every creak, every shadow, watching, waiting. He bolted outside into the stormy night, lungs burning, heart hammering. The intruder didn't follow, not visibly, but he knew. The basement never truly releases its intruder, waiting, always waiting. Scene 3. Escape and final warning. He bolted up the stairs and burst into the stormy night, lungs burning, heart hammering. The intruder didn't follow, at least not visibly. But he knew, deep down, the basement never truly lets go. The presence lingered, echoing in the creaks of the house, the shadows in the corners, the metallic scent in the air. Since that night, he never returned to the basement. He sealed it off, locked the door, but the fear never left. And sometimes, when the house is quiet, he can still hear it. Slow, deliberate footsteps, pacing below him, waiting, always waiting. The basement is empty, yet not empty. And he knows deep down, one day, it will call him back. Story 4. The Man Behind the Bathroom Door. Scene 1. The First Sound. It was supposed to be an ordinary Sunday night. She'd locked the apartment door, double-checked the windows, and stepped into a warm shower. Her one moment of peace. But halfway through rinsing her hair, she heard something. Not the pipes, not the storm outside. A soft, slow footstep inside her apartment. She froze. The water masked almost every sound except that one creak. Someone else was in her home. Close, too close. She reached for her towel, hands trembling, and then she saw it. A shadow, tall, still, standing directly in front of the bathroom door. Scene 2. The door moves. She held her breath. The shadow didn't move, didn't knock. It just waited. The doorknob turned, painfully slow, like whoever was out there wasn't trying to break in. They wanted her to know they were already inside. Whisper, "I know you can hear me." Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone. It slipped, clattering, onto the tiles. The shadow lowered its head, listening. She stumbled back into the shower, heart crashing in her chest. She dialed 911, whispering, begging, while the figure outside dragged something across the floor. And then, silence. The kind that makes your bones go cold. Scene 3. The Escape. The moment she heard distant sirens, she ran, barefoot, soaking wet, shaking. She burst out of the bathroom and sprinted for the front door. She flung the door open and raced into the hallway, screaming for help. When officers swept the apartment, the living room window was open, curtains blowing in the storm. Fresh footprints on the wet tile. They never found him, but they did find something else. A kitchen knife, placed neatly on her bathroom mat, right outside the shower. He wasn't there to rob her. He wasn't there to hide. He was waiting for her to step out of the shower. Story 5. Voices through the baby monitor. Scene 1. The first voice. It was close to 2 a.m. The baby monitor crackled. Nothing unusual, she thought. Old house, old wiring. "I see you." She froze. The baby was only 6 months old, too young to speak, but some adult voice whispering through the monitor was real. Her stomach dropped. She ran upstairs every step, pounding in her ears, terrified of what she might find. Scene 2. The Intruder's Lullaby. She opened the nursery door. The crib was empty. Then she heard it. Through the monitor, still clutched in her hand, a lullaby, soft, gentle, hummed in a deep, male voice. She followed the sound down the stairs, into the living room. The window was open, curtains swaying in the night breeze. The baby lying alone on the carpet. No intruder, no footprints, nothing. Scene 3, the final message. The police searched everything, all doors locked. No signs of entry, no fingerprints, no device interference. But when an officer tested the monitor, the screen flickered static. Then a shadow. "Nice to meet you. See you soon." They left immediately. She moved the next morning, but she still keeps the monitor, because deep down, she knows the voice wasn't inside the house. It was inside the monitor.